Over 25 plus years ago in the late 90s, Penn State had an absolute monster on their defensive line that went by the name of Courtney Brown. He was so good at Penn State, as a matter of fact, he was named Defensive Player of the Year and also a unanimous, not just All-American, but a unanimous All-American. Big difference. He was a force to be reckoned with. Everybody and their mama thought he was going to be the next best thing. Therefore, he was selected first overall in the 2000 NFL Draft. What makes this story so fascinating, at least to me, is I'd say most casual fans have never even heard of Courtney Brown. Reminder, we're talking about the #1 overall pick in the draft. Let's just say after being selected with that first overall pick, things didn't go so well, and that was the pinnacle of his career. But here's a million-dollar question. Why didn't things work out? There's many questions people have been asked about this guy even till this day. But however, it all circles back to the one. And I mean the one big question we're going to try to get to the bottom of in today's video. What really happened to Courtney Brown? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great day. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Real quick, gotta drop by and say, major shout out to this comment for requesting this video, and it's the main reason we're doing it because it was the most liked comment. I was working on a completely different video for you guys. I saw this, and I bumped it up to priority #1 because I saw it had a bunch of likes, which tells me you guys want to see the video. Let me address the last part of this comment, though. I hope you're being sarcastic because I wasn't dodging you. I probably just didn't see your comment before. And also, there's a bunch of recommendations and requests. Unfortunately, we can't make a video on every single request, but if you do have any recommendations you think it make for a great story, leave a comment down below, and who knows, we might make that. As y'all may or may not know, your boy Matt is a fan of the people and how to give the people what they want. It's as simple as that. That is enough jibber jabber though. Thank you for that comment. Without further ado, let's get into it. You already know, to get into Mr. Courtney Brown's story, we gotta throw it all the way back to where things started. I know y'all like looking at where these players were ranked coming out of high school. Trust me, I do myself. Unfortunately, there were not rankings when he was in high school, so I can't show you those. Despite that, he was still a highly sought after recruit that played his high school football in the state of South Carolina. He was an All-American in high school, played on the offense and defensive side of the ball like most of these stars do. But take a listen to this. He was also really smart. Some people may say the most impressive thing about him is he was Gatorade Player of the Year. That's amazing. But I want my youngsters to pay attention to this. He had a 4.0 GPA. Here's an interesting fun fact for you. He didn't miss a single day of school from kindergarten through 12th grade. Early on in his recruitment process, he fell in love with Penn State, and ultimately, that's where he would decide to commit and sign. His college career from 1996 all the way up into 1999 is very simple, and we can sum it up briefly. There's one word I'm going to use to describe him. I don't think anyone's going to complain about this. Outstanding. In my opinion, this was a coach's dream at any level. You knew every single day what you were going to get out of Courtney Brown. You could count on him, and like I say in this life, your best ability is availability. Who cares if you're the most talented guy if you don't work hard, you're late to meetings, you miss practices, stuff like that. I can tell you this much, coaches much rather have a guy who's not the most talented kid in the world, but he's somewhat talented, hard worker. Why? Because you can count on him, and when you can count on them, you can trust them. A main reason young athletes don't see playing time early on is because coaches don't trust them, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Like I was saying, Brown, he was a great player for Penn State all 4 years. After winning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year, and being a unanimous All-American in 1999, he would declare for the 2000 NFL Draft. There's good and bad news. Which one do you want first? We'll start with the good news. The good news is Courtney Brown, like I said in the intro, was the #1 overall pick in the 2000 NFL Draft. The bad news is, guess who had the #1 overall pick? The Cleveland Browns! Yeah. Do you need me to elaborate? I don't think you do. We all know this. One of the worst organizations, not just in the NFL, but in all professional sports. Is anybody going to argue that in the comment section? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Anyways, continuing along here, the Browns select him, and since he was the #1 overall pick, people expected a lot out of him, and in his first year, he delivered. There was even one game in that first year where he had not 1, not 2, but 3 sacks against the Steelers. All in all, for that first year and 16 games played, he started every single one and had 69 total tackles with 4.5 sacks. Also had 16 tackles for loss, and I think most people would say, it wasn't the best year ever, but it was a really good one. It was a good start for a rookie. Heading into year 2, which was 2001, it was supposed to be his breakout season. Sadly, that didn't happen. The reasoning for that is because he had knee and ankle issues, and it caused him to miss most of the games. Fast forward in time into his third season, which was 2002, he started 11 games, but had to miss some more time due to some knee cartilage issues. I hope you're starting to pick up on the pattern. That is 2 straight years where these injuries, they're starting to rack up and take a toll on him. One thing I forgot to throw in there is that in 2001, he only played in 5 games like we just talked about, but he had 4.5 sacks. So think about it, if he could have stayed healthy, that would have been a breakout season. A little foreshadowing, we'll touch more on that in just a second. Just remember it. Heading into 2003, which was his 4th season in the NFL, it was okay. He had 38 tackles, with 5 of those being for loss, and 6 sacks, which was a career high at the time. But, and you probably know where I'm going with this, he had another injury. He had a torn bicep, which caused him to miss some more games. So now we're at 3 straight years with injuries. Heading into 2004, he missed every single game but 2 with a left foot injury. This was also around the same time frame where the Browns were having to decide if they want to extend him, and they decided not to. They didn't think it was a good business decision. Honestly, can you blame them? I can't. Therefore, they cut him. Shortly after that, he would sign with the Denver Broncos in 2005, where at least he played most of the games. That's the best thing I can say about that season. He wasn't dominating or anything like that. He started 13 games, only had 2 sacks, 24 combined tackles with 6 tackles for loss. But he was playing. The main problem with Courtney Brown, as you probably put 2 and 2 together here, is health issues. That's it. So for him to finally have a season where he's at least playing a majority of the games, that was a step in the right direction. And I can't harp on this enough. These teams really like Courtney Brown, not just as a player and what he could do for them on the field, but as a person. Didn't cause any problems. Some people may disagree with this, but I feel like when you're a great person, you tend to get more opportunities, even in the cutthroat business of the NFL. After that 2005 season where he played a majority of the games, the Broncos were like, yeah, we like this guy. So they gave him a contract extension through 2009. But guess what came back into play for Courtney Brown? Injuries. In 2007, he failed a physical. You hate to see him go out this way, but the Broncos, they decided to cut him. And that was the end of his NFL career. I saw this comment when I was watching some film on him, and I like it. People can say what they want, but the simple story is the guy was a stud that had various chronic injuries that ruined his career. I agree 10,000%. But here's a slightly different comment. It's lengthy, but I think it's worth a read, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts on it down below. He was overrated in college, hence being a bust. He played for Penn State and benefited from being on a pretty solid defensive team. The fact is, as an edge rusher, Courtney Brown faced super weak competition in the Big Ten, not to mention the Nittany Lions cupcake schedule. So of course, it is no surprise that he racked up those eye-popping numbers in his college career. His inflated statistics is what catapulted him into the national conversation as quote-unquote elite, and from there his draft stock was skyrocketed. In reality, he was an average player who just happened to be at the right place at the right time. The Cleveland Browns couldn't figure that out, lol. Me personally, I strongly disagree with that. I'm going to go back to this first comment. I'll pop it up on the screen. This is the one I like the most. If you go back and look at his story and look at his career in the NFL, the only thing that held him back was injuries. Let's go back to this. Hold on. I got it pulled up right here. Give me a second. We're doing this in live time. Yeah, in 2001, only played in 5 games, had that left ankle, I believe, and then the knee injury. But in 5 games, he had 4.5 sacks. That's good for any edge rusher. I think it's blasphemous to say, oh yeah, he's a bust or he's overrated. The dude got hurt every single season after his rookie year. It's kind of like calling, I don't think anybody's calling Derrick Rose a bust, but it'd be like saying, well, Derrick Rose had a disappointing career. He was great early on, but he fizzled out. That's a flawed argument. And you know why it's flawed? Because Derrick Rose was a monster, and when you have major knee injuries like that, anybody, I don't care how freakish of an athlete you are, you're going to go downhill. I'm not going to sit up here and say ludicrous statements like, well, Courtney Brown would have been a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for the injuries, but to call him a bust, that's stretching it way too far if you gotta ask me. The guy couldn't stay healthy. That's what happened to his career. Simple as that. Now I know you're sitting there saying, well, okay, Matt, after his NFL days, what happened? Great question, my friend. I'll let you answer it. I had to do a bunch of digging and research to find this, but apparently and allegedly, Courtney Brown, he does missionary work in the Dominican Republic, so much respect and kudos to him. Many more things I can say. We'll end it off here. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below, but Romana!